adjustments here as we go live. How's everybody doing out there? I am doing fine. Let me make this clear in here. All right, looks good. Yeah, that's very good. Hey, sorry that I missed last Wednesday's live stream. I was actually attending a live concert down the street at the Concert Cabral, and it was John Williams' music being performed by a full orchestra and choir, so I couldn't miss that. I'm kind of a geek when that kind of shows up, and I really enjoyed that. It was really interesting music and a lot of fun. So I missed last Wednesday's show, but I'm here for the Sun mics. And before we get started, I want to thank everybody. Before we get started, before we do anything else, let me just say thank you so much for taking your time to show up, to tune in. Time is a really valuable thing. And for you to spend a little bit with me is really, really greatly appreciated. So every week, thank you guys so much for showing up. Ben Allmark in the house. Hey, how you doing? Missed you. Missed you guys. Had a lot of fun, but and there was no way. I mean, the concert didn't let out until after a quarter to 11, so there's no way I could have done a live stream. But I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But I missed you guys. Glad to be here, guys. So glad to be here. So glad you guys are spending your time with me this evening. Before we get started in the main topic, I will talk about a few things that have been going on here upstairs to the right music. For a long time, I have been talking about recording a little bit differently. I started out. Benny Larson in the house. How you doing? Welcome, Benny. How you doing, sir? Welcome, welcome. Again, while waiting for more to show up in the live stream, I will ramble on for a moment. So I started out in big studios. I started out in 48-track studios with pretty serious recording equipment. And of course, that went out the window as soon as computers came in. I've used Studio One as my DAW from day. I actually had a prototype of Pro Tools when I was doing remixes for Motown back in 90. I put that around 92, 93 or so, maybe 94. And been using computers to do recording and a lot of other things. There are ADATs, a lot of different stuff out there. Mr. Watson in the house, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. And of course, graduated to using computers and using Studio One. But for a long time now, I want to just go backwards. I wanted to go low techie. Not high techie, but low techie. And I was looking at recorders out there. And, my uncle Carlton McWilliams, Blues Hall of Famer, guitarist, he really was raving about the Zoom R8 as an 8-track recorder, which for what I have intended to do going forward is good enough. But it works with your DAW in order to do a little bit of a hybrid kind of thing there. And I've been deciding between that one, and there is a new version of it, the R12, which actually acts more like an editor that you would find a DAW with cut and paste functions and a touchscreen. I decided to go a low techie, and I was doing a deal in a shop that I deal with, and they happened to have one that somebody brought in secondhand. And I said, hey, let's see if we can throw that in on the deal. So they did, and I said, let's do it. And so I have a Zoom R8. They don't make these anymore. But one of the cool things is you can, for example, I can do all my drum tracks still using Studio One in order to get that going. Load that into this, and then, of course, use this as my recorder for the rest of the tracks. I can bounce those down and master them going back into Studio One. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of flexibility with this, but the main point is using this, restricting myself to tracks. It's kind of a kind of a artistic thing too. Like, what's the most that I can do with 8 tracks? And just use this instead of using the computer because again I prefer the tactile feeling of something like this. So I think that this is great. I did buy it secondhand, and I did, just keeping to the good principles. This was part of a trade deal, so I actually traded something in order to get it. But I am actually, the thing is, it didn't come with a proper SD card. These things are very sensitive to the SD cards that you use. And here in Europe, the Sans disc that they use is unfortunately a little hard to find. But actually, I'm having one sent from Japan. It's a Japanese device. Japanese there's a list of approved SD discs for this, but I'm having one sent from Japan. So I will get that up and running. And again, my plan is, I have 2 albums up on Bandcamp. If you guys haven't gone to my Bandcamp and taken a look at the Asanoki albums that are available from my band, my Japanese band Asanoki, 2 albums up. I'm releasing a third of stuff that I did on my previous albums under Mike McWilliams, releasing that under Asanoki. I'm adding 4 new tracks to that, and I'm planning on doing most of the work here on this, believe it or not. So you have that to look forward to. Now I've got this, and that was part of that plan. I will move forward doing that. I've actually written the songs. I've written the music. I'm a composer after all, and that never stops. But I have 4 really wonderful tunes, new tunes that I will add to that package and put out a third album on Bandcamp. So that's going to be coming up. We used to have ADATs, Larson says, in our old studio. Yeah, ADATs is certainly, we had a rack of them. I honestly not too excited about them. I think there are plenty of better digital alternatives. A lot of stuff can get lost between this and yeah. We had ADATs, and then we had also that what is that? Presonus, whatever that Presonus was. I forget what they called it. And we use that a lot, and then it just it switched from that format, from the tape format, and really, to be honest with you, tape is the best format. Yeah, you bleed through. You got a lot of issues with tape, but to be honest with you, the warmth you just really can't capture. But I do have things and tricks that I do in order to try to artificially put back in my recordings, especially during mastering. So, but this song right here actually sounds pretty great. A lot of demos of it on YouTube. You can check it out if you're interested. But yeah, I'm glad I got that. So I'm going to be doing some recording with that. I'm actually gonna go back. Of course, I've got to learn it. The manual's like this thick, but I think that I can get the gist of it if it's like any of the older recorders that I used to use back in. So there's that. The next thing, oh, I'm sorry, Ben Allmark. I have the Zoom Live Track R8. It's great. Yeah, so this one, I think they don't make it anymore. I don't think, I know it's out of production, but I think there's a lot of things going for this one. I like the fact that I can take tracks and bounce them easily back and forth between my DAW and this. A couple of other things. There's some pros and there's some cons to it, but and again, for the price, I traded it, so I really can't argue that. All right, the next thing I want to ramble on about, I want to show you guys something. If you remember, this is my 1976 Greco Les Paul Custom. I want you to take a look now. Before, it did not have a pickguard on it, but today, as a little DIY project, I put on a pickguard. And one of the things that I did was I did some relicing to the pickguard in order to make it match better with the color of that binding going around. even adding a little bit of dirt there at the bottom, if you can see that. And not as drastic there in the inside part, but still matching the binding color. So I did that today so that, it's not, I mean, I'm really proud of up there where the binding and the pick guard meet. That's really good color matching. So I did that as a project today, a DIY project, and I filmed it so that I could share with you guys how that's done. And two of the products, that I used in order to achieve that was this Angelus brown acrylic paint and this color tone liquid stain. This is the vintage amber. And I have a lot of trial and error that went into finding the right products in order to get that vintage, color that you get on old binding. Like that's 48-year-old color on that binding. And of course, the pick guard, when I first got it, was brand new. It was really bright white there with the binding pick guard, and I had to get it so that it matched up with the binding on the guitar. And that's a pretty tough thing to do. I'm really starting to get into using these products. And, the other thing with the bracket on that as well was the bracket was a brand new bracket. And using 3000 grit wet paper, sandpaper, that I soaked for overnight. And just doing a couple light passes on that in order to take that brightness out of it, and even we're down a little bit to the underneath chrome color underneath so that it matches the tailpiece. And so I did that work, simple stuff around the house, and I did film that. So you can get a video of that as soon as I finish editing it, coming out this week, probably tomorrow. That goes step by step how I'm able to match the color of that, bright. It was super bright white. That it's a brand new pick guard. To try to get that to match that 48-year-old binding color. And I, through trial and error, really found that these are the two products that do that. You really, it's like painting. And again, it's not all over. If you look at that, even that 48-year-old binding still has some patches of white in it. So using this first to give it that kind of dirt, I guess, look, wipe it off, and then follow that up with this, and you can match it pretty well. I'm really pleased with how that came out. And it's little tricks like that that I find interesting. So I haven't put out a regular content video in a while. It's because I've been, trying to find something that I find. So I step by step went through the process showing how I got that to how I reliced. Before I've showed you how to derelic things, how to get rust off. This time I thought I would show you some tips on how to relic something to make it match. Especially if you're replacing a part that wasn't there. This guitar, through time, in the last 48 years, somehow lost its pick guard. I wanted to put a pick guard on it. I'm glad I did because it just looks, I'll show you one more time. With that pick guard on it, it just looks, gorgeous. But I really wanted that pick guard to match that binding. I didn't want it to stand out like a sore thumb, and also the bracket as well. I wanted the gold bracket to the rest of the gold. I didn't want that to be super shiny. So a few techniques that I used in order to achieve that, and I will share those with you come week on my regular content. And I think you'll find it interesting. Again, I said, if you're looking for ways to get that yellowing, this is what you need. And I will show you in that video how I apply those exactly. Ben Allmark, I agree with you regarding the pick guard. Thank you, Ben. It looks so nice with the pick. It looks so much better with it on. And it really looks slick now. I love that guitar. You guys know I love this guitar. So I went the extra mile by finishing it up and making it look proper. If you opened the case and looked at that, you would not know that it's not the original pick guard. You would think it is. Just to get just a little simple things that you can do with sand and a little bit of paint, a little bit of delicate painting. Little goes a long way with relicing. You know, don't take a chainsaw to it. Anyway, in the video, I'll go through it with you. So check it out if you can. I think you guys will love that information. A lot of people here in the chat, so better get started with tonight's topic of discussion. How we're going to get into lifestyle marketing in music gear. You know, for a while now, I've been touching upon a lot of the things that manufacturers use to entice you to buy things. One of the big things that they use to draw you in is dealing with nostalgia, or appealing to nostalgia, your nostalgia, whatever that may be. Music, in a way, is used in order to draw us back to a time and a place. It can be used positively or it can be used negatively. But really, we are subject to nostalgia. And there is a book, one of my favorite books, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. And one of the philosophical discussions in that book is about catch. And appealing to catch is basically, you know, showing an idyllic scene that to the casual observer may look great, but it may be a nuclear waste background. In other words, the surface level of something. And I do believe that nostalgia definitely is, along with gas and with fear of missing out, nostalgia and catch go hand in hand. So tonight I'm going to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Excuse me if I pronounce this incorrectly. Dalius. Hey, Uncle, how you doing? How you doing, man? Ben Larson. Hey, Mike. I agree tape is best if talking analog. Otherwise, Pro Tools or similar has much better results than ADAT, in my opinion. Cool work on the pick guard. It looks good. Thank you, guy. I appreciate that. Again, I think you can overcome. In this case, as I mentioned, I will be taking the tracks from the R8 when they're done, and I'll be mastering them, you know, in Studio One. So, kind of bending the rules there a little bit, but because certainly the output is going to be fantastic. But I think that for capturing and for recording and doing the kind of work I do, this is a way to go. I can work fast with this, and that's actually the most important thing. This is something I know I can hit, click, go, you know, punch in and out. It's got a foot switch pedal so I can punch in and out. That's perfect for me. That's perfect for me. Sebastian, why are you feeding Ukraine? Don't know what that means. Hello, please reject the unforgivable mark of the beast. Yeah, you got no problems with that. I agree with that one. Yeah, so tonight's discussion, lifestyle marketing and music gear, and using nostalgia, guys, really as clickbait in order to draw you in order to buy things. From reissues to merchandise lines, companies like Fender and Gibson have turned guitar sales into a nostalgic experience. But are they selling authentic history, or is it all clever marketing? You know, Santa Claus is a marketing tool. Did you F your beans? No, I don't know them well now. We're still on the first date, so maybe third date I can broach the subject. So let's dig tonight into the shift from instrument craftsmanship to creating a lifestyle that appeals to our love of the past. You know, I heard somebody mention the other day, I forget who it was, that said that Gibson made more in guitar sales through Epiphone than they did through everything else that they have an ownership or partnership in. And I found that to be interesting. I really think that there's a fine line between homage, fictionalized nostalgia, and with Epiphones, great guitars. I'm not gonna, say anything negative about them tonight. That's not the intention. But Epiphone guitars are copies of a copy of a copy. And again, all of that is appealing to people's nostalgia at different price points. So keep that in mind as we go through this. Um, you know, the motto of the channel is I'm good. And that basically stands for part of it stands for looking around at the current marketplace and saying to yourself, hey, that's BS. Or, hey, they're trying to, appeal to something in me that they think is going to respond to that. Um, if we can all have really educated, who was that? I'm sorry, guys. Who was that you said, Benny? Hello, Michael, Crypto, Dolphus, Darius, Sebastian, Satan, and Lolostos, whatever it is. That's a funny one, Benny. Um, just having an educated viewpoint whenever you're being marketed at is what I'm good is about. Question there. How do you feel about Russian music? Have you heard bands like Aria, DDT, Semantic Hallucinations? No, I haven't heard any of those. I haven't heard any of them. But, of course, there are Russian bands that came out from the past. Um, what was that girls group that got thrown in jail? They actually weren't bad back in the day. I'm a little bit older, so if it's newer, I don't know it, but I'm interested in any kind of music, so I'll look a few of these up and I'll get back to you on it. I'm always interested in it, especially if I want to hear it. Metal, rock, I love it. So, guitar brands are basically using nostalgia to market their products. And they're shifting from simply being guitar makers to lifestyle brands. And when you have Gibson really saying, "Okay, we're doing the tattoo. That's it, Benny. Thank you, tattoo." Yeah, man, I used to dig them. They got in a lot of trouble, but I actually kind of dug them. I dug tattoo. I just did. I like their music, but that was a long time ago. No, I do not know who that is, Peter. Um, so Gibson is saying to themselves, we've got the guitar thing covered. Let's, obviously that's our bread and butter because it's making more money than anything else that we're doing. So with the USA version, the Gibson brand, let's shift more towards a lifestyle brand. Oh, but you can play Casio diss track. I don't know who Casio is. I don't know but if there's a diss track for that person, I'll look that up too. You guys think I'm kidding, but I go back in the live stream, read through the transcript, and if somebody recommends something, I always check it out. So, I'll listen to anything you guys recommend. Back in the day, whenever I would take a bunch of songs that I had written for whatever whoever I was trying to write for, and I would take them to any of the record labels that I was lucky enough to be able to get a demo session, and they would listen to the first 30 seconds. That was all I. If they didn't like it in the first 30 seconds, it was next, next, next. I lost out on one girls group song because the girl that I had demo the song said we should triple the vocal on the chorus, and I said no, doubling it is fine, and I think she was right. So anyway, don't know why I brought that up, but just to prove a point that there was a time when it was really about the music. And anyway, sorry, really don't know why I got into that tangent. See, you guys should let me get into tangents. Interesting stories, but sometimes tangents. Um, Now, as I mentioned before, music can tap into certain emotions. Oh, that was a song that played during our wedding. Oh, that was a song that me and my friends and we all got together camping out and we were listening to this on the radio back in whatever or whatever. And they also can use this nostalgia inherently in us through our memories and experiences to do marketing. Taps into emotions, memories, and a sense of identity. When they tap into those three things, they kind of got you. They kind of got you. Ben Larson says they thought Tattoo had a good drive to their sound. Yeah, that's what I thought. A lot of people always want to put girl band down like the Runaways, but if you go back and listen, Pat Benatar's first band, but if you go back and listen to that stuff, those girls were playing, first of all, and second of all, like Tattoo, and second of all, there's a lot of guy rockers out there who can't rock that good. Just saying. So, yeah, they were good. You know, Brands will leverage musicians longing for iconic eras and models as well. Look at me. You know, it's not because, you know, for example, Randy Rhoads had, a Les Paul Custom. His Les Paul Custom, of course, was a white custom, but, certainly, a Les Paul Custom is certainly something that if you came from appreciation for 70s rock, it's an iconic guitar. For me, of course, it's an iconic guitar because a lot of players that I like had a Les Paul at one point or another. Again, in my case, so there is a part of that. Of course, like I said, um, uh, you know, my good friend Steve DeMond had one in high school, and I thought it was a great sounding guitar. So there is part of that as well. But there is also again, the iconicness, this is a rock machine to it, and I'm not going to deny that. So they play into your emotions, your memories, and your sense of identity. Bunch of things said here. Ben Allmark, Susan, the lead singer from the Bangles, she was amazing. The entire band was amazing. You can watch the band play live. They're Hall of Famers now. You can watch their Hall of Fame performance. Um, I had a thing, much like Prince did, obviously, for Susan, the lead singer. Ben Allmark, yeah, I just read that. She was amazing. Sebastian, by the way, there is a very popular Russian band, Tattoo. It's a girls group and popular. Yeah, we talked about Tattoo just now. Caught that. Yes, very familiar with them. Mike Watson, yes, she was. Ben Allmark, I had a crush on her too. We all had a freaking crush on her. Come on. Who did not have a crush on Suzanne Hoffs? Who didn't? It's just from Russia with love. Hey, welcome. You just, welcome to all you guys. You just gotta admit it. Prince was lucky. He was able to write a song, and that's how he was able to get it. He was like, "Hey, I got a song for you." We didn't have that option, but we all had a crush on her. Come on. And if you didn't, you lying. You're lying. But they're really trying to also get into those iconic eras and into the models, of course, of guitars that are associated with those iconic eras. We've talked about that before, touched upon that. You know, the reissues, the reissues of reissues of reissues. Jimmy Page just came out with a series of acoustic guitars with Gibson that, quite frankly, other than hearing him play acoustic guitar going to California, and you can catch a live version of that on YouTube, I really don't associate Jimmy Page with acoustic guitar, and yet, you know, there it is. Yeah, still is. Yeah, she's still hot. That's no lie, dude. You check her out. Go on to Instagram, look her up. She is still fine. She will be forever. She really is. I'm just saying. Um, and these reissues are just getting to be ridiculous. They're touching onto an iconic guy like, of course, Jimmy Page, but they're reaching as far as the acoustic guitar. That's not what he's known for. He's known for the Les Paul and the double neck Les Paul. That's it. Really, that's it. But they'll keep reaching in the back of that closet, that nostalgia closet, trying to pull things out to get you to buy. Gibson's strategy with their original collection and their tribute to the 50s, 60s, and 70s designs with Epiphone also, again, hit a nerve, a great sales nerve, because obviously it's their bread and butter in terms of their cash flow. But, again, what were they doing there? They were reaching out to anybody who wanted that 50s, 60s, and 70s design thing. Their Les Paul custom, inspired by one, is pretty great. It's nowhere near this 76 Greco in any way, shape, or form, but it is still pretty cool. But again, that's reaching into a nostalgia kind of thing. There were musicians. They are really reproducing guitar also with just subtle tweaks, but then charging a premium for these vintage aesthetics. That's another way to bring up the bottom end on the guitar aspect of these companies, is by offering us these reissues. Well, this one's got a certain kind of paint that we haven't used since back in the day. This one has these pickups that you can buy separately in their own velvet lined box, like a freaking coffin, for $1,000, which is just funny stuff. Scorpion Princess, keep spreading love. Thank you. I will. Thank you so much. You too. Northern Thrifter, the irony is Jimmy played a harmony. You know, again, whoops. I will take a look at that Going to California video on YouTube when I get a chance, and take a look at the headstock of that guitar, that acoustic guitar, and see what it is he's playing. But dig that. They're really reaching. They're using Jimmy Page only at this point, because acoustic guitars, yeah. So there's that, guys. These vintage aesthetics that they're charging a premium for, if you go into the secondhand market, you can find them anyway. If you're able to say to yourself, I don't care if there's Gibson on the headstock. If you're okay with it saying, Greco, then this guitar is built exactly like you would find on a custom shop custom. Even down, again, having a true ABR with the post going into the wood. Aesthetics like that charge an extra fee for these days if you want to get stuff like that. And that's another way that they're extracting money out of you, on the low, on the DL, as they say. I'd like to hear from you there, also about what nostalgia car models do you think about? As you know, my thing is this black custom. I've always wanted one, not one. I'm having a hard time letting it go. Everything else goes, but this black custom, and those Super 70 pickups, by the way, in it, sound. I adjusted them the other day. They were a little low, so I made some adjustments on that when I was dicking around with it, and they just scream. They howl. They are not monophonic at all. They still sound great, and yeah, That's a tough one. But I like to hear from you guys. What are some of the nostalgic guitar models out there that you kind of have a hankering for that would be really hard for you to resist? If I didn't know anything about a Greco like this, I have to be honest with you, that Epiphone, inspired by Paul Custom, Black Custom, would be appealing to me. But thankfully, I do know that there are alternatives out there that are better, actually. Lifestyle branding is something, again, like I said, that is the other part of the company's equation, financial equation going forward. See, they can't just sell to the guitar players, and the guitar players are becoming to two groups: those who can afford a certain up to a certain level of guitar, that's covered with Epiphone, and those who are guitar snobs who would buy the custom shops but in smaller numbers, who would buy the USA standards but in smaller numbers. And that's not enough of a market for them to expand and grow that they'd like to. They need to reach the other person who doesn't give two craps about guitar, but they may want to have a Gibson hat because they think it's cool, or they might want to have a Gibson radio, or they might want to have a Gibson jacket. These are the kind of things that really have proven themselves to be major sellers, so much so that the company that was doing the second party stuff for Marshall, uh, the the miniature amps, the mini little amps that you plug into your guitar, the speaker systems for people to use through via Bluetooth. A lot of that stuff made so much money that they were able to buy out the other half of Marshall. So now they are the owners of Marshall. And of course, all these other brands like Gibson and Fender saw this and said, "Holy shit, we better get into that before before that happens to us. Somebody buys us out that we were licensed to." So that's where that is the genesis of where that thought process really came from, where the other half of this equation of appealing to nostalgia is part of their sales menu, the other half of it being that lifestyle brand. Harley Davidson, Apple, solid lifestyle brands, not just motorcycles or electronics in both of those cases, just two more examples. Outside of the music world. um, the clothing, the home decor, even themed experiences, that they're having. I would tell you that the Gibson Garage and the Fender showcase in Japan, for example, those are experiences. Even for those who are not, Tupac Shakur's house. Hey, bro, how you doing? Back from the dead. Good to see you. You know, those are even for like, you could take your buddies who may not be interested in a girl, a date, a wife, spouse, somebody who may not be interested necessarily in guitar, to go to a place like that and kind of, hey, how you doing? Welcome from India, Kumar. Welcome, Kumar. Welcome. Um, and they would kind of dig it because at least there's tiny guitars and there's the ooh and all, and maybe there's a live band playing and there's drinks and things like that. So it's kind of an experience that they've shifted into. That is quite a different thing than walking into the Guitar Center on Hollywood. Sure, on Sunset. Trust me, the Hollywood branch on Sunset, but completely different experience. And they're not just guitars; they're selling T-shirts, mugs, hats, whatever, blankets, throw rugs. Um, Fender and Gibson's lifestyle shops have websites selling everything from T-shirts to hats to home decor that emulates a vintage rock aesthetic. Now, I'd like you to take note of the word emulates. And I think you can tell from the thumbnail for this video, where I show a picture of guys sitting there playing guitar surrounded by these chicks, and I said, "This never happened." That is a bit of AI produced nostalgia that I created in order to show you an image of something that never happened, but you could sell a guitar based on, since this thing that never happened is in this image, and somehow we've reached into a nostalgia feel from it, that we're able to sell you that this can happen to you, even though it never happened. Does that make sense? How that works? No, convoluted my explanation there, but that's the gist of it. Michael Watson, I get at least 2 emails a day from Fender about new nostalgia gear they're releasing. It's ridiculous. I agree. Cat's Music Journey. Hey, welcome, sir. How you? Long time no see. Good to reach. Good to reach. That you reached out to us. Glad that you reached out to us tonight. To see you. It's fictionalized nostalgia. Are these products truly honoring the past, or are they just cherry picking aspects that fit a certain image? That's why, again, like I created the JPEG this live stream tonight, specifically cherry picking image that was fake nostalgia, and titling it "This Never Happened." It's over romanticizing something, you know. Everybody tell you, oh, Woodstock, it was awesome. You know, it was 3 days of loving and music and good times. It was a friggin' mud pit. That I hope you are a person who can hold, your bodily function for 3 days before you can get to a toilet. Because quite frankly, the whole place was, well, I guess it really wouldn't matter because the whole place it was a mess. It was cold, it was rainy. You tell it took you, it was 3 days of music. It took, 10 days to get out. Because it was like one road. But they'll sell you on it. How fantastic it was. And Joni Mitchell will write a song about it, even though she wasn't there. Again, playing to the nostalgia of things and cherry picking aspects that fit a certain image. Over romanticizing a situation like Woodstock, or repackaging their history to create a cool vibe. In the case of Gibson, they're trying to repackage their history. Although, again, I'm not picking on Uncle Jimmy, not at all. This is a subject probably for another day about aging rockers. But I don't know how cool a 20-year-old, Gen Zer would really feel about an acoustic guitar from Jimmy Page at this stage in the game. I'm sorry. Hell, it doesn't appeal to me. And I'm pushing 60, So, I really am just not seeing where they're going with it. But again, like I said, they're repackaging their history over and over again. When Jimmy dies, they'll have the Jimmy, graveyard collection. I'm serious, man. They will milk that cow forever. Northern Thrifter, you're deconstructing my gas here, Mike. That's the intention there, man. That's what we're trying to do. Again, like I said, if you can walk into these marketing ploys that these companies put out with a clear view as to what they really are doing, what they really are about, it's like, garlic and holy water, the vampires. They'll completely just repel it. It won't work. It won't work on you. They can't get you. I don't know how many. And I'll be honest with you. I can look around, or even this hat. I don't buy Gibson hats. I don't buy Gibson T-shirts. That I have no interest in that. I'm interested in the Gibson tool or Gibson guitars to some extent, but their lifestyle doesn't appeal to me. But I'm not the person they're really trying to go after. They're trying to get that non-musician, get that money, because there's a lot of bread in that, obviously. Again, from the examples that I gave you before. And I just think it's too much. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's just too much. Creating these lifestyle brand products, they've actually demystified themselves in my mind. In other words, they're not special as they were, and it to me. And so, deconstructing, they're kind of deconstructing my personal feelings about them, and making them viewed in my mind as something to be wary of, nothing to feel nostalgic about. So that leads into when nostalgia feels authentic versus exploited. See, it starts to feel exploited to me. It's exploitative to me. Some reissues or heritage models feel true to the spirit of the original, while others feel like cash grabs. I pointed out before, it was a guitar that drew a lot of attention to this channel, was the Epiphone 1959. That was supposed to be a limited edition. And they are still producing those. As a matter of fact, they're producing now with the proper Les Paul standard USA headstone on it, charging, of course, $200 more for the licensing on that to use for you to buy that. But it's one of those rare guitars that felt like something exciting, something true to the spirit of the original, and then turned into a cash grab. There's sometimes when there are guitars that do grab out and feel original to the spirit of the originals, like, for example, Fender's Squire line. Um, I think that Squire line, vintage vibe line was fantastic. And it didn't feel like a cash grab at any point. I have the Telecaster, as you guys know. But again, there are some that feel like cash grabs. Um, you know, so I say that to point out that it's not bashing new guitars, and you should just buy secondhand. There are new guitars out there that have a great vibe to them, a classic vibe, if you will. But it's also starting to feel a little bit of exploitive to me in the case of a lot of this stuff. And the Jimmy Page acoustic guitars is something that this week kind of sparked this discussion and got me writing a script for this live stream tonight. When I saw that, I was kind of taken aback. I was like, really? Really, Gibson? Really? Why don't you leave that man alone? It's like, my God. Um, there are smaller and independent builders that take a more authentic approach by focusing on traditional craftsmanship over branded hype. So that's a third alternative to buying new from one of the companies or buying secondhand. You could look at one of the small independent builders. A lot of those guys, true, independent builders, are really trying to keep to as close as they can, to the spirit of the original guitars that they're creating. So I always like to give a third alternative. That was my suggestion to you. You could look at the smaller independent builders. Steep prices on those reissues from the big brands would lead you to an independent builder anyway. And I remind everybody who's not familiar with the story that Slash's Les Paul that he used for Appetite for Destruction was not a Gibson. It was a copy. And so he certainly reached out to an independent builder and produced an excellent guitar, an excellent replica. So something to think about. There are so many examples out there where I felt sold on a guitar due to nostalgia, only to really realize that it didn't live up to its hype. And so with those experiences in mind, like for example, the Blues Breaker pedal. I had an original Blues Breaker pedal, as you guys know. And honestly speaking, um, it was not anywhere near as good of a as my clone copy. So the hype on the Blues Breaker pedal, say that 3 times fast, I dare you, didn't really live up, in my opinion, to it when I actually had one. So there's that too. Benny Larson, I'll tell you one that didn't feel like a cash grab to me, my Epiphone Wilshire. Yeah, that I agree with that. That line and the casino, those again are great guitars. I kind of want one of those Epiphone casinos. I saw one at the Vintage Guitar Show, and it just wasn't what I was looking for at the time. I got it for €100. I couldn't believe just how good it was for the money. Yeah, I agree with that. Morgan Baker, they robbed me in Nigeria, and you guys are luck. You are safe. Lucky you are safe. Well, you know, they reach out, that Nigerian princes will reach out to you as well on the internet. So you got to beware everywhere, apparently, of Nigerians. You know, nostalgia could to paying more for vintage aesthetics instead of getting the best value uh, for your money in terms of quality and sound. Um, there's that. Be mindful of purchases and considering the true value behind nostalgia appeal. In other words, really understand, am I getting this because I'm feeling nostalgic about it? And that's okay. If something comes across, like for me, again, I wanted a black custom. This one really is hitting all those nostalgic feelings to me. That coupled with the fact that it actually is a fantastic playing and sounding guitar for me. But really being mindful of it, you know. And again, like I said, I would put it up against any of those Gibson customs from the same time period. I just would. I did. You know, I held one at the Vintage Guitar Show, so I can tell you that, you know, at least from that standpoint, I couldn't find a difference. Really couldn't. Um, Mark, agree, Benny. The Cornet Wilshire and the custom one. Can't remember which one it's called, but all epic. Yep, the Crestwood. Yep, the Cornet, the Crestwood. And again, like I said, just to mention it, you know, throw it out there, that casino, that Epiphone casino, buddy, you know, that was pretty nice. I really, if I would like to get one of those, and the natural color one. So you know, again, guys, you know, just decide whether a guitar or piece of gear is truly worth it by looking it through the lens of, are they fucking with me using nostalgia? Basically, what this boils down to tonight. Um, Nostalgia is used in marketing, and the shift to lifestyle branding and the importance of this shift, especially in how they're going to try to market to you as a musician, because that's going to change too, obviously. The focus there is going to change. You know, the quality is okay now, but if the lifestyle thing starts taking off, then there may be some sacrifices over here. Right now, again, we're in a sweet spot. Obviously, Epiphone is producing great guitars. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that there are alternatives, secondary market and with private builders that you could be using a lot more wisely with. And still satisfy that nostalgia if you must, if you will. So a lot of things to consider, guys. Um, you know, this is not a light guitar. And I said I swore off heavy Les Pauls. Begin for me in terms of playability, in terms of sound, and hitting that nostalgia. This one does it for me, and it does it at a fraction of the price of equivalent from 1996. Sorry, 1976. A 76 Gibson will cost you 5,000. This one will run you 1,300 with the original case. So, you make the choice. You make the choice. You can still feed that nostalgia bug, but save your wallet a lot of grief. So again, tonight's discussion about this lifestyle marketing and how this shift by these companies will have implications with us. For right now, it's okay, but I am keeping my eye on that because as the lifestyle starts to take off, the guitar making may take a hit, take second fiddle, so to speak. It's a possibility. So yeah, I think I've beaten that subject. Don't think there's much more I can add to that. Of course, I'd love to hear you guys down in the comments section. I certainly heard a lot here in the live stream. We had a lot of folks here tonight. Um, you guys uh, can always support this channel by hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed, by subscribing. Certainly in the description for this channel, there's a link to our Asanoki page. Listen to the music. Even if you don't buy it, take a listen to it. When I talk about going down the street this past Wednesday to watch the live orchestra, it's experiences like that led me to come and compose string pieces for songs like The Well. I'm extremely, on the Asanoki 2 album, I'm extremely pleased with the orchestration that I wrote for The Well. And that came from that kind of experience, doing things like that. Benny Larson, about lifestyle branding. I don't need the lifestyle t-shirt. I'm already got the lifestyle. Guitars and amp, who needs a freaking t-shirt? Yeah, man, dig it. It's like I said, you gotta have the amp, the guitar, the t-shirt, and the friggin' pajamas, man. The coffee mug, your dog leash, all that shit. They really want you to buy into that brand. Like I'm a gift guy, my bed sheets, when I go to bed at night, I've got Gibson pajamas and Gibson bed sheets. And I wash my ass with Gibson soap. That's what they really want. And I'm sorry, but again, they're not really appealing to us. But they'll appeal to a guy who's not kind of opposed, or who wants to be associated with it but can't play two notes. Then maybe that's the target audience. But But again, there is that shift, and it should be discussed. I discussed it really in detail, like I have tonight. Before, I thought it'd be worthy of sitting down and writing about it and sharing that with you. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. If you want to support this channel, again, like I said, go to the description page for the channel, click the link for Asanoki, and listen to the music, buy the music. It's great music, it's great work. And if you really want to support this channel, you can buy music there. It directly supports this channel, keeps it going, and I would appreciate it. So you guys take care. That is it for tonight, Sunday at Mike's. I hope you enjoyed this discussion about lifestyle brands and music gear, where that may be going. Thank you, Ben. Thank you to all of you guys for supporting me always and showing up to these live streams. Great crowd here always, every time we do this. Next one will be this Wednesday. Tomorrow, definitely I'll be releasing a video on my regular channel content about how you can use simple stuff that you can obtain very easily to do relicing work as needed. So keep an eye out for that. You guys, until the next one, you take care. Bye-bye.